Hi, our lesson today is the past simple, okay? And there are 4 points that we are going to explain in this lesson of the past simple. So let's get started. The first point is most verbs are formed by adding ed, okay? So in the past simple, you take any verb and you add ed to the verb and you get the past simple, okay? That's why here we have most. Pay attention, here we have most, okay? It's not 100%. Most means the majority. Why? Because we have a tiny number of verbs that are irregular. Okay, we'll see this in next point. Okay, so most verbs are formed by adding ed. Let's take an example. Look at the verb call. Call is a verb. The past simple is called, ed. Want is a verb, and the past simple is wanted. Okay, ed. So as I said, if most verbs, when in the past they add ed, there are other verbs which we call irregular verbs. These verbs in the past, they do not add ed. They have different forms. Okay? Example, look at the auxiliary or verb be. So be, the past simple is was, were. Okay? You say I was. You were. Okay? So was, were. And the verb to do. Did. I do something now, or in present. I did something yesterday. Okay? So, as I said, most verbs by adding ed in the past, and there are some verbs, okay, a lot of verbs actually, in the past, they do not add ed, they have different forms. Example, be, was, were, do, and did. Okay, now, we talked about verbs and how we form the past simple with verbs. Now the question is, why we use the past simple? Okay, so we use the past simple to talk about an action or event, okay? An action or event that happened in a precise past and it is finished. So it happened in the past in a precise time, okay? We will see this with time expressions. Okay, so we talk about an action or event that happened in a precise past and it is finished. So the action or event has nothing to do with the present. It's happened in the past and it is finished. Okay, number 3. With the past simple, we use specific time expressions. We use specific time expressions. Okay, what are these time expressions? We use yesterday, last, in, on, ago, used to, etc. So these are time expressions that we use more specifically with the past simple. Okay, and when we use them with the past simple, they give it that sense of something that's happened in the past in a precise. When we say yesterday, it is a precise past. When we say last night or last year, it is a precise past. Good. Now we move to point number 4. So 4, it deals with the forms of the past simple. I mean the interrogative form and the negative form. Okay, so we use did to make questions. So when we want to make question, remember with the present simple we say, like for example, do you speak English? So here, do you speak English? It's a question, okay, and we need to use do in the question, okay. So it's do you speak? It's the same with the past simple. In a question, it is very important, so it's obligatory to use do in the question. So we use did to make question. Did is the past tense of do. Look at the example. did she tidy her room yesterday? So it is a question. Did she tidy her room yesterday? Okay, did she tidy? Notice here the verb tidy is in the infinitive form because in questions and negative forms the verb doesn't change. It remains in its infinitive form. It's not conjugated in the negative and in the interrogative form. Okay, both in the present simple or in the past simple. Okay, so what do we conjugate? We conjugate the auxiliary verb. Okay, so did she tidy her room yesterday? It's a question. We start with did, and then the verb is in the infinitive. Next point is the negative form. We use didn't to make the negative. Okay, we want to make the negative. We use didn't. Didn't stands for did not. It's the contracted form of did not. Example, she didn't do her homework last night. She didn't do her homework last night. She is subject, didn't, okay, do. So the same as in the interrogative form, here do is in the infinitive because it's a negative form. We do not conjugate the verb. She didn't do her homework last night. Okay? Another example, they didn't go to Spain this year, okay, because of COVID-19. Okay? Good. So they didn't go to Spain. Didn't, okay, negative form, go. Go is in infinitive, okay? To Spain this year because of COVID-19, okay? COVID-19 is the virus, okay, that spread throughout the world, okay? It's a very dangerous virus, okay? Good. So, as I said, in number 4, we talk about the interrogative form and about the negative form. Notice, if you want to, like here, she didn't do her homework last night. What do you think can be the affirmative form? Okay, very simple. She, okay, she did her homework last night. Okay? So she did her homework. She didn't do. Affirmative form, she did her homework last night. Okay? So this is the past simple. We have point number 1. We said that most of verbs in the past simple, they are formed by adding ed. Okay? Example, called, etc. But there are some verbs, okay? These verbs are, we call them irregular verbs because they do not add ed in the past. Okay? So there are a lot of irregular verbs or past forms. Example, be, was, were, do, did. Number 2, we said that the past simple is an action or event that's happened in the past, in a precise past, and it is over, it is finished. It has no connection with the present. Okay? Number 3, of course, with the past simple, we use specific time expressions. These time expressions, it's like they create this context of the past. Okay? So these time expressions are yesterday, last, in, on, ago, used to. Okay? Number 4, we talked about the negative and interrogative form, and we said that in the interrogative form, we always start or use did in the question. Okay? And of course, the verb in the question is in infinitive form. And with the negative form, we always use didn't, okay, in negative form. And of course, the verb is always in the infinitive form too. Okay, good. Now, what do you think? We move to some practice, okay, so that we grasp all these things. Okay, good. So let's go to some examples. Okay, let's practice the past simple. here I provided 7 sentences, okay, so as that we can practice the past simple. In these sentences, there are negative, interrogative, and affirmative forms. Okay? Good. Sentence number 1. I, suspension dots, live abroad for 20 years. I, blank space, live is the verb, abroad for 20 years. So here, before you answer, you must first know this verb, is it a verb that takes ed in the past or is an irregular verb? Okay, so live is very good, is a regular verb. By the way, irregular verbs, we can find them, okay, on the net, okay, or in English books. There is a list of irregular verbs. Actually, there are 4, I'm not very sure, but there are 400 irregular verbs in the English language. But of course, we do not use all of them, okay? The most common verbs that are used as irregular verbs are around 178, okay, verbs. These are the most common, okay? So these verbs must be learned by heart. Okay, of course, with practice, we learn them, and also if we take the list and we start to learn, okay, set by set of verbs, at the end we learn all verbs. But with practice is better. Okay, good. So live is a regular verb. So I help you. So what is the answer? Yes, very good. So the answer is lived. Okay, so lived. I lived abroad. Abroad means outside my country. I lived abroad for 20 years. Excellent. We move to the sentence number 2. Okay, let's go. Sentence number 2. They, okay, they get. Here the verb is get. Home late last night. They get home late last night. Okay, so I help you. Get is not a regular verb. It is an irregular verb. Okay, so they get home late last night. Can you find the answer? Yes, very good. The answer is they got. Okay, they got. Here, the meaning of get means arrive. Okay, so they got home late last night. Maybe they went to the cinema and they came back home very late. So we say they got home very late. Okay. Okay, so as I said, got is the past tense of get, which means arrive. Okay, and it's an irregular verb. Now look at sentence number 3. Okay, sentence number 3. Okay, there is a question mark, which means that it is a question or an interrogative form. So you see the movie Joker? It is a question. Okay, so remember, how do we form the interrogative form? Yes, so what do we start with? Very good, excellent. We start with did. Okay, we start with did. And remember, the verb that comes after the subject in question, is it conjugated or is in the infinitive form? Yeah, very good. It's in the infinitive form. So the answer is, did you see? So there is no change. The verb remains the same. Okay? So, did you see the movie Joker? By the way, Joker is a very interesting movie. Maybe it's one of the most interesting movies in the American movie history. Okay, I recommended it to you. Okay, number 4, he, okay, he go out this weekend. Okay, he go out this weekend. What form is the sentence? Is this a question? No, I don't think so, because there is no question mark. Okay, and here notice we have 2 blank spaces, which means that we have to use 2 words. And generally we have this form of sentence when it is a, very good, it's a negative form. Okay, so you remember how we form the negative form? Yes? Excellent. So we start with didn't. So he didn't. Okay? He didn't. And the verb. So what are we going to do with the verb? Conjugate it or leave it in its infinitive form? Yes, very good. We leave it in its infinitive form. So he didn't go. No change. He didn't go. Okay? He didn't go out this weekend. To go out means to go to the restaurant, to the cinema. So the weekend people, they don't stay home, they go out. He didn't go out this weekend. Of course, go is an irregular verb. Okay? It's not a regular verb. Of course, here in the negative form, we cannot see it. But by the way, the past simple of go is went. And the past simple of see is saw, S-A-W, and went, W-E-N-T. Go to the list and check out all these irregular verbs. Okay, number 5. He eats a sandwich for lunch. He eats a sandwich for lunch. So, notice we have only 1 blank space and there is no question mark, which means that this is an affirmative form. It's not a negative, it's not a question. Good. So what happened in the affirmative form? The verb, is it in the infinitive form or in the, is it conjugated? Yes, thank you. It's conjugated. Now the question, is it regular with ed or irregular? Yes, very good. So it is an irregular verb. So the past simple, yes, the past simple is ate. Okay? Ate. He ate a sandwich for lunch. Okay? Good. So it is an irregular verb and the past simple is ate. So in the affirmative form, we must conjugate the verb. Sentence number 6, we have 2 blank spaces, okay, which means it is a question, an interrogative form. So, they meet their parents, okay, a question. So remember, what do we start a question with? Very good. We start it with the did, okay, so did. Okay, did. Now in questions, okay, do we conjugate the verb or we keep it in its infinitive form? Very good. We do not conjugate it, we keep it in its infinitive form, like the negative form. So, did they meet? Okay, did they meet their parents? Okay, to meet somebody means when you are somewhere and you're walking down the street and there is someone that you know and you meet that person. Okay, you meet them. Okay, so did they meet their parents? Okay, good. The last sentence, okay, number 7, is the explained lesson last week. Okay, so here, sorry, it's the teacher. Okay, The teacher. The teacher, the verb explain. It is an affirmative form. And explain is a regular verb. So what are we going to do here? So it's the verb plus ed. Very good. So the teacher explained. Okay? The teacher explained. Okay? Explained the lesson last week. Okay? Good. So these 7 sentences, they sum up what we said in the explanation of the past simple. So here we have all the ingredients, how to prepare a good dish with the past simple. Okay, so I think we are done with the past simple lesson. Thank you very much, and see you next lesson. Bye.